Hello folks and welcome. Now behind me you see a typical scene in this household, and that's the dining room table covered in current projects. But this video is going to be a little bit different. What I'm going to try and do is focus on stuff I've done in the past, what I'm busy with now, and what I intend to do in the future. And that's come about because I've realised that many people who tune into the channel, it's the very first time they've done so. And there also been a number of new subscribers recently who may not have an overview of the sort of modelling that goes on the channel. So with that in mind, get your favourite tipple in hand, sit down, and I hope enjoy this mini tour of the Croucher workshop. Well then, where did it start? Well, like many people, during the pandemic, I sort of made a decision that I needed to try things out I'd always wanted to do. And one of them was to fly radio control model aircraft. I tried it out in the 1970s as a teenager, but never really managed to crack it. And I went off to do lots and lots of other types of modelling. Model railwaying, model boats, model engineering, building live steam launches and live steam locomotives. And then, as I say, I decided I wanted to give the radio control a try. And like many people, I went down the route of buying foam models. They were a quick way to get into the air. In fact, I learned to fly with the Hobby King Tundra. A great model to learn from, as somebody said to me, easy to fly, hard to fly well. And I learned a great deal from that. And I don't knock foam models at all. I think they've got their place. And without them, let's be honest, how many clubs would even be surviving now? The vast majority of people like the idea of getting a model, spending half an hour or so to screw it together, take it to the airfield and have fun with it. But to me, that's just a fraction of the hobby. And I like to be creative. I like to make things. And I would categorise what I do into a number of categories. I like to build from scratch, and I'll show you some of those models that I've built. I enjoy building from kits, which just saves a little bit of time, but you still get the kick of putting something together. And I really get a lot of enjoyment from restoring models and bringing back a model that may be at the end of its life and getting it to fly again. It's a legacy model sometimes that a member who's passed away, it's come from an old estate. I love the idea of keeping those models working. And I've also discovered, like many people, I've tried all kinds of different types of aircraft, but I keep coming back to two main groups. One of them is the sports scale World War I aircraft, and the other is vintage models. And that takes me back to my youth, a bit of nostalgia. I like to build models that were free flight models, but I can now fly as radio assist. And it's a different sort of flying experience at the field. It's very relaxing. And as I say, it takes me back to my youth. So let's have a look at some of the things that I've been working on. Here we go then. Here's one of the projects that I've been busy with. Notice I say one because I tend to have more than one thing on the go at a time. So the model that you see painted here is a Flare Fokker D7 that, when completed, will represent the Belgian aircraft from post-World War I that was used as a trainer in the Comet Squadron, and that's the reason for the symbol on the side of the fuselage. It's covered in dress lining, which is something that I've experimented with over the last couple of years as an alternative to the more expensive commercial coverings such as Oratex. I've also, if you look closely, added on the stitching onto the wing, which I think shows up rather nicely. And another project that I've just started is a model produced by WW1, and it's the SG38. Now you can see both of these building blogs on the playlists if you look at the channel. Obviously the Fokker D7 is approaching the end of the process, but you know the old saying, when you get 90% done, there's still another 90% to mysteriously complete. So I still have to complete the radio installation, deck out the cockpit, weather down the surfaces because I would like a slight weathering on the model. But anyway, that's what I'm busy with at the moment, and there are another 2 models that I'm about to start. So I tend to flit from one to the other to keep my interest. I actually did a video on why I do that if you want to look it up in a little bit more detail. But basically, if I'm finding that I've hit a stone wall or a barrier to progress, I'll go on to something else, and that gives me time to process and think about it and then come back to it. So anyway, there are 2 models that I'm working on currently. One in the very earliest of stages, just the rudder completed. The other almost there, not quite, but almost. Let's have a look at some of the other stuff. I did mention that I'd done other types of modelling. This is a steam launch that I built a number of years ago, and because it's all brasswork and shiny wood, the wife doesn't mind it sitting there in the middle of the living room. Having said that, she doesn't mind a great deal of me modelling, to be honest with you. She puts up with an enormous mess from me. But that's something that I've come from in the past. Now, I don't do any modelling engineering anymore. However, the skills that I picked up in the making of the steam engine and the boiler are there to draw on if I need them. And I think for this next build, this big glider, the SG38, I'm going to be doing some silver solder work and some metal work on that. So stay tuned, folks. While we're on the topic of current projects, this is a Tony Ray Tiger Moth that I'm busy with. Once the Fokker D7's out the paint shop, which is just about now, I'm going to begin painting this model up. It's a beautiful, beautiful model. Would recommend it to those who have some experience, because it does take a little bit of care putting together. Here's a pilot. I've included the cockpit detail. I haven't got the control panels on. That's the sitting kit that comes with it, and it needed a pilot, so his head is 3D printed, but the body is made out of blue foam, and obviously very light because it's foam, and he's going to make a nice addition to the model. So many projects on the go at the same time. This is another one of them. 2 more in the pipeline, which I'm about to start shortly. One I'm building for a club member as a payback favour. More of that on another video. And the other model, well, you'll have to wait and see. Right, let's have a look at some of the other World War I aircraft and biplanes that I have in the collection. Well, there we have another flare kit. This is the SE5A. Once again, using the basic kit as a building board. I added a lot of embellishment on this. Started by scratch making the machine gun. You'll notice the fuel tank is being added to break up the surface. All these roundels have been hand painted, as is the markings on the side. I've added additional details such as the inspection hatch covers for the control surface on the model, and additional detail on the fuselage itself. It's a lovely model to fly. I added all the extra riblets in because I thought they were important to the overall look of the model. It's added to the weight of the thing, but it still flies extremely well. And the grille at the front was all scratch made. Can't remember what else I did. Things like the little indicator for the speed. It's fully rigged. It's a small enough model to get to the flying field in one piece. I love flying that. Flare models in general, if you can get your hands on them, are superb models. And there you go, both at the same scale. Gives you some idea at how big the Fokker D7 actually just was. It's a big aircraft. So there's a couple of the biplanes that I fly, or I'm going to fly this one. I actually have another D7 upstairs in Finnish colours, which I basically bought as a doer-upper. It was a sort of wreck that I worked on. So that's kits. Let's have a look at restoration models next. Here we have a couple of examples of restored models. Both of these came to me in varying states of disrepair. This one, basically, the black one, simply needed a good clean. I had intended on stripping back the black covering or changing it quite dramatically, but on second thought or on reflection, I thought it would be more fitting to keep it in this livery in honour of the chap who passed it on to me, to be honest with you. It meant a great deal to him because it belonged to a much admired and loved clubmate. So I've kept it black. I've added a few fine details of my own. I've changed the cockpit. I've altered the rudder, which was all warped to hell and back. I've just tidied it up, basically. I've flown it 3 times now, and I believe it's possibly nose heavy. So before I put this away, I'm going to check that. And likewise with this model, this was in a much more battered state. In fact, the upper wing, there was only the spars left of it. It was totally destroyed. The middle wing lacked these cutouts, as with the flare design, they went straight across, which just looked wrong. I totally stripped the model back and covered it in dress lining, polyurethane dress lining, 100%. Habuti C5882 is the code for it. There are some videos on how I've done that, and I've given it a paint finish, which I think is rather fetching. I've added the rib stitching onto the model, which sort of stands out. And as I say, I've flown this one once, had a problem with the carb, which I think's now sorted. Once again, I think it's nose heavy, but better be safe than sorry, I suppose. I'm all ready to give these another try out in the summer. This one has a Zenoa 26 up front, a petrol engine, magneto, and this one has a laser 150 up front. Both have more than enough grunt to get them around in the air. So great fun bringing models back to life who've come to the end of the days at first glance, but with a little bit of effort can be restored, and that's what I've done with both of these models. Okay then, let's have a look at some of the vintage stuff that I like to build and fly next. Finally, let's have a look at some vintage models. I have 3 here in the collection. I have others, of course. How I fit them into the spare bedroom, I don't know. This one with the garish pink and white livery has an interesting history. I built it about 55 years ago as a free flight model, recovered it when I got back into the hobby, and decided that because it was a payload model, a model designed to fly both with and without a weight, it would lend itself really well to radio assist conversion, and so it proved. It flies extremely well. I've since flown it as free flight inadvertently by not turning the receiver on, and it managed to gain some height and disappear as a little speck in the sky, and I thought I'd lost it, but when the engine cut, it turned into the wind and landed in the next field to the strip, not 200 yards away from where it started. So I was very lucky there. This model, the Matador, was built from a vintage kit that was handed to me. Once again, it's a superb, iconic model. It's covered in Solatex, which makes it way too heavy, but nevertheless, it handles it well. Nice model to take to the strip. And the most recent vintage build that I've done is this debutante, which I built one of these a number of years ago as a teenager, and I decided I would like this in my collection, but I increased the size of it or the wingspan by 10 inches, and that lends itself really well to radio control. It's got a PAW 2.5 or 2.49 cc engine up front. It's got more than it needs power-wise. It flies around quite happily on half throttle because it is a throttled diesel engine. It's covered in doculam and tissue, and that gives for a very authentic vintage look to the model. And vintage flying is very different to flying with these beasts. You can take it up, relax, and basically just occasionally put a little bit of a signal in, an input, and that's how I like to fly them. I don't intend to fly them as a radio control model, tear around the sky. I just want to keep it in the proximity of where I am and basically sit back and enjoy the flight. Run it until the engine cuts out and then glide it back to Earth. So they're the free flight models that have been converted to radio control. On the channel, you'll also find excursions up to the flying field, and we are very lucky, or I'm very lucky to be a member of a club with very active builders as well as flyers. And occasionally when I get up there and I'll do a video and put together a montage of what we've been up to along with the latest model I've probably built, you can enjoy the atmosphere of flying in the northeast of England. So if you've enjoyed that tour, please give it a thumbs up. It was really aimed at new members who may not really know what the whole channel's about, but I hope that the regular members, and I appreciate it greatly, will keep coming back week after week. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey down memory lane. Some of these models you've seen me working on over the last couple of years. Thank you very much. And as I always say at the end of a video, let's be creative, folks. Bye now.